This is about a 330-year-old larch, and we pick a spot where to fall it where it's level, where we don't think it's going to break up too much, so we don't waste as much wood. And we look at all the little trees around and try not to destroy any more of them than we have to. Took a long time to grow this tree. We greatly respect the privilege it is to be able to cut it and use it, and we want to make something out of it that'll last as long as possible and let people enjoy the beauty of natural wood as much as possible. All the brush out here is, I just saw a little mouse because I kind of shook up his world just now. All this down stuff becomes a maze of highways for the mice in the winter time. They run around underneath and it's shelter for them. They eat seeds and whatever mice eat, bugs, I don't know. But we've found when there's a lot of down brush on the ground, the mice population goes way up. Then in turn, things that eat mice go up. This is a white pine that has already been infected with blister rust. You can tell by this dead limb. Once this rust travels up and gets to the stem of the tree, this tree's history. If we were to cut this limb off, we could maybe save it, but this tree's pretty far gone. So unfortunately, that tree's not going to make it. Alpine fir in it, there's larch, there's cedar, there's spruce, and if we don't thin it, then most of it is going to be stunted and possibly turn out rotten. The larch is going to grow tall too fast and get so spindly that it's going to fall over because it won't be able to hold itself up. So what we're going to do is thin them out and leave the ones that are most valuable, the hardest to get to grow. And we would love to get volunteers to help us thin. So, you know, we get people to volunteer to pick up trash along the highways, and we think that doing some of this thinning is a very good investment in the long-term health of the forest and actually us as people.
We started out 20-30 years ago doing a post sale, and that was thinning out the lodgepole that gets so thick and making posts. And Ben went up there recently to see how that is now, and it's a total change. The lodgepole is bigger, it's healthy, and it looks like a park almost. So it's an awesome thing that was done. We need more of it.
I did a study on a tree of when it grows the most volume, and when trees are little, they don't produce much as far as timber value. As they get bigger, they produce more and more, and a big tree growing slow produces like 15 board feet a year, and a little tree growing fast produces about half a board foot a year, and that's in timber value. So we're way better off letting the big trees that are healthy get bigger and the medium-sized trees get bigger, and then we can have the wildlife habitat, we can get our land to produce more, and we'll have higher quality timber besides. And this kind of shows that you don't need 20 feet between every tree. You know, there's 2 feet between these. Trees to where they have all the room they want, they grow really fast, and they also grow linear. So the highest quality wood comes from trees that are in competition with each other. They grow a little slower, but you still have as much volume per acre because you have more trees. And you get much higher quality wood. It's a more natural environment, and the wildlife like it. And I asked them. And everybody that uses lumber likes the slower growing trees. This cedar here is a perfect, this is like a 10-year-old kid. He's just getting ready to really make something. And I can see 1, 2, 3, 4, at least 4 cedars in this little area that fit this description. So this, if we leave it, is tomorrow's stand like the one we were just standing in. This is a grand fir. This is a good example of a young grand fir. It's probably worth a couple dollars now for a log because it's so small. It could be 50 years old. If we leave it for another 50 years, it'll be worth probably 50 times that much. I purposely dug right here. I pushed some brush out because larch like this kind of a seed bed to get started. They need mineral soil. That's why they'll start when a tree tips over. That's why they like making clear cuts and digging the ground up. Some people think you can't work in old growth and still have it old growth, but here we have an old long butt that's who knows how old, probably 40 or so years at least. And you can see how something's digging in it. And this is an awesome stand. It's healthy. If us loggers can fit into the picture and come and get our little snack, then everything might turn out just fine. A lot more detailed, and you have to enter the stand more times, over, like, you don't just come and cut all the trees down once and you're done. You come in several times and cut some of them. So it's called uneven age management, and it can produce more timber, although that's not a totally unanimous opinion. That's our opinion, that we can probably produce twice as much volume that way and still have a forest at all times. A lot of times they'd knock all this stuff down and start over again, but we try to save it. They call it micromanaging. We like to micromanage.